You woke up one morning and your throat hurt, so you took a pill, maybe two, and by the next day you were fine. Now, forget all of that. Forget the pills, forget the doctor, forget even the basic understanding that tiny invisible organisms are crawling inside your body trying to kill you. You're standing in a forest 50,000 years ago. Your throat hurts, and you have absolutely no idea why. The first thing to understand is that for most of human history, getting sick felt like something was being done to you, not by bacteria, not by a virus, by something that wanted you dead. Because when you have no germ theory, no microscopes, no scientific framework for invisible things, the only explanations available to you are the ones you can see. Bad spirits, angry ancestors, a curse from someone in the tribe who wanted you gone. This wasn't stupidity, it was logic. Something invisible is attacking your body from the inside. Something made you weak when you were fine yesterday. If you lived in a world where spirits explained lightning and floods and death, they explained fever too. So the first thing ancient humans did when they got sick was look for someone to blame. And the second thing they did was find someone to fix it. Every human society ever studied, without exception, developed a version of the same figure, a specialist, someone who stood between the sick person and whatever invisible force was attacking them. We call them shamans, medicine men, healers. But the job description was always roughly the same: negotiate with the unseen world on behalf of the suffering. These weren't frauds, they were the most knowledgeable people in the group. They knew which plants made the fever go down. They knew which roots stopped the stomach pain. They understood, through generations of passed down trial and error, that certain things helped. They just had the wrong explanation for why. And here is where it gets interesting, because some of it actually worked. Archaeologists have found evidence of medicinal plant use going back at least 60,000 years. A Neanderthal burial site in Iraq called Shanidar Cave contained pollen from 8 different plant species buried alongside the body. Several of them, including ephedra and groundsel, have genuine pharmacological properties. They were using medicine before they were fully human. The willow bark ancient healers used to reduce fever contains salicin. Salicin is what aspirin is made from. They didn't know that, but they knew it worked. Humans figured out, through thousands of years of desperate experimentation, that the world was full of chemical solutions to physical problems. They just had no idea what those solutions were actually doing inside the body. But here's what no plant could fix: the fear. Imagine being sick in a world with no concept of recovery as a predictable outcome. Today, you get a chest infection, and somewhere in the back of your mind, you know it will pass. You have antibiotics if it gets serious. You have a framework that tells you your body is fighting something, and the something will lose. Ancient humans had no such comfort. Every serious illness was potentially the last one. Every fever that spiked in the night was a coin flip. The people around you had watched others get sick and never get better. The psychological experience of illness was not just physical suffering, it was confronting the genuine possibility that this was how you died, and you still wouldn't know why. There's another thing ancient humans did when they got sick that we almost never think about. They rested. Not because a doctor told them to, because their body made it impossible to do anything else. Evolutionary biologists now believe that the feeling of being sick, the exhaustion, the loss of appetite, the desire to do nothing but lie still, is not a side effect of illness, it's a strategy. Your immune system actively produces molecules called cytokines that make you want to stop moving, stop eating, stop interacting. Because when you rest, your body can divert every available resource toward fighting the infection. Ancient humans didn't understand this, but they obeyed it. They lay by the fire. The tribe brought them food. Someone sat with them. And sometimes, for reasons no one could explain, they got better. That moment must have been extraordinary. The first time a human survived something that had killed others. They woke up one morning and the fever was gone. The pain had faded. They were weak, but they were still there. And the healer took the credit. The ritual had worked. The spirit had been appeased, which meant the ritual would be repeated, which meant the healer's position in the group was secure, which meant someone kept accumulating knowledge about which plants helped and which ones didn't. Across thousands of years, through a process that looked nothing like science but functioned like a primitive version of it, humans built a pharmacopoeia of remedies that genuinely worked, without ever understanding why. The gap between ancient humans and modern ones when it comes to illness is not intelligence, it's information. The person lying in that cave 50,000 years ago, delirious with fever, frightened, surrounded by people performing rituals they hoped would work, had the same brain you have, the same capacity for reasoning, the same ability to learn, to remember, to pass knowledge on. They just didn't have germ theory. They didn't have 10,000 years of accumulated scientific knowledge sitting between them and the question of why their body was failing. They had what they could observe, and they did what humans have always done. They tried to make sense of things that made no sense. They took care of each other. They looked for patterns. They were wrong about almost everything, and they survived anyway. The next time you're sick, lying on the couch feeling terrible, you'll take a pill, and it will work, and you won't think about it. But somewhere in that pill is willow bark. And somewhere in the instinct that makes you want to lie still and do nothing is a signal that has been running since before we were modern humans. And somewhere in the fact that someone brought you soup or checked on you or just sat nearby while you felt awful is something that has been true for 50,000 years. Getting better was never just biology. It was also this: someone staying close until the fever broke.